broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Dominion fans! Welcome back to the Dominion After Show! We're so excited to talk about episode 206. Late, my numbers are getting skewed. Alright, diving back in, I'm your host, Zach Wilson. You can follow me and tweet at me throughout the show at @ZachWilson, ThatzachWilson, and my fantastic co-host is here, Jacque Borowski.
Hey.
Jacque, how do you feel? How do you feel about this episode?
This is a very emotionally wrought episode.
Yeah.
It was very emotional. I have a hard time seeing Zoe as a villain. And I know I said I have a hard time seeing David as a villain, but like I can acknowledge that David is like an actual villain, and like even though in his head some of his motives might be justified, everything he does is for himself, versus someone like Zoe, who I feel that everything she does is for the good of her people, who are the V6s, where it's hard not to feel sympathy for her, because it's like she was given the short end of the stick her whole life. So of course she's angry, and of course she's going to want to rebel, because they're not given much.
Yeah. I mean, this is exactly where I wanted to start the conversation off for this episode, is
Thanks.
Claire versus Zoe. Who are we rooting for? Because after this episode, I honestly don't know. I'm kind of rooting against both of them right now.
I'm rooting for Zoe. I'm definitely rooting for Zoe, especially when you saw Jasper die and you're like thinking that here's this person who not only is sacrificing herself, but she's sacrificing her friends to this cause that she believes in bettering the V6s. It's not just something that's for her. And I think it was underscored by the fact that we had, even though it was written by David, we had her read that speech that we hear over and over and over again, and it was a very moving speech.
Yeah.
And we don't even hear Claire's speech. We just hear from Gates that it's a great speech, but we don't actually hear it.
Yeah, I mean, well, she did make up the second part. Like, she threw out his speech, like,
Right.
after the first couple lines, and then it got real. Then it got real and raw. It became less calculated, and that's, I think, why she had all those people still coming to her even after Claire's speech. Whatever it was, basically her speech was, we need to just do this together. We will win together. And that was enough to calm everybody down.
Even when you look at the website where you see they have propaganda posters on the Dominion website for their revelations for this episode, I feel like the ones for the revolution are stronger, because it's hard to argue, oh, we all stay together in this system that my dad created that makes me well off. Not that Claire is a bad person. I don't think Claire is a bad person at all. We know that she's
a kid in over her head, basically.
Yes.
Like, we're looking at her like she's a very strong leader. Like, she has great abilities. She has no experience with this.
Right.
And that is so apparent from this episode. She basically, like, lets the Civil War, like, break out, or, like, she's willing to let it break out and base her decisions on a boy she likes.
Yeah. Well, I do understand that it's more than just a boy she likes. This is someone she's known for her whole life, someone who her dad trusted as an advisor, someone who, therefore, she trusts as an advisor.
And is essential to the welfare of Vega.
Right, and he knows how the whole city runs.
Yeah.
He knows where everything is. He knows how all of the electricity functions and all of the resources, where all the resources are.
Yeah, well, Chaos 13212 in the chat roll, I think, puts it sort of similar to how I feel about it. Claire, they say, Claire, I could still buy as a leader, but not Zoe. And I think that's why I'm not, like, ready to, like, root for Zoe yet, is that, like, I just don't, there's something, it just, like, doesn't feel like she's leading a good rebellion. I mean, it comes down to, like, her decision, like, she was going to blow up Ricin Tower. That's the act of, like, an angry kid. And now, granted, she has the right to be angry. She has been put down and abused her entire life, and she is fighting for a very just cause. But she's not a leader. I don't even think she knows what she wants. You are right in that. I'm sorry to interrupt, no.
But you are right in that Claire is more strategic about her thinking versus Zoe, who's emotionally reactive about her thinking. And I honestly think if she didn't have David helping her, she wouldn't be lost. She wouldn't be she wouldn't be a leader of any sort of revolution.
No, they would have had a terrorist attack effectively on Ricin Tower. If they had managed to pull it off without anybody knowing, maybe Claire would even be dead. But the V6 system would still be in place. Mm-hmm. They would probably be hunted down because, frankly, any other leader is going to show no restraint after that, and is just going to say, "No, we're going to charge them. We're going to kill all of them," and they just have more firepower than the rebels. Like, they would be done. Well, she's only in her place because of Wheel, and she knows it, but she makes that decision at the end. First of all, she's right to call him out because he's a snake in the grass, 100%. Her way of punishing him, or like, I don't know that it was punishment. She was like trying to prevent him from hurting her in the future, which was to shoot him in the hand. At least it didn't read to me that she like blew off his hand. She just like shot him in the hand, which will heal. And if he has a finger left, he can fire a gun with that. Even with that hand,
he also can learn how to use his other hand.
Exactly. Like, I get that I think that maybe it was just that she was making a point, but it's not a very effective one. Also, because Wheel doesn't even need to pull the trigger himself.
Nope.
That man is so crafty and dangerous. All he needs is his words. He even talks about how powerful words are. Like, God may have left, but we still have our words. That's all he would need to get someone to kill her if he thought that it was time.
And I think that she shot him in the hand as a gesture, first for everybody around her that was watching, and then also because she knows she needs him. She knows she can't really damage him because she's the face of the revolution, and she is... it was her idea, but he's the only one that can organize that sort of thing.
Yeah. But like, will he still work for her after this? Like, will he help her?
I have no idea.
If he does, it won't be as effectively, for sure. Like, he's not going to give her like everything he's got, because he knows, like, he knows at this point he's being watched.
I would love to see David flee the town, flee Vega, have it fall apart, and then have him work for Julian. Because I feel like that team would be the ultimate evil.
Yeah, Julian's got...
I feel like Julian is the new bad guy. He's the new big bad, whereas season 1, we set up Gabriel as the big bad. And here, I feel like we're seeing a more sympathetic side of Gabriel, to where Julian is the ultimate evil.
Yeah, well, Gabriel's become very complicated. Like, my feeling on him, at least, has gone back and forth,
yes.
Like, in a good way.
Right.
Where it like, you can see in this situation, like, he's fighting for Alex. Like, even though he and Michael disagree about what they should do with Alex, mm-hmm. and what the solution is to this world and getting Father back, he is absolutely willing to work together, and he absolutely loves his brother.
Of course.
So, like, that's endearing. I wanted them to I almost wanted them to break Gabriel out of there, and then I remember oh wait, if he gets out, he's gonna kill everybody. But you like him enough. He's a misguided villain as opposed to Julian, who is evil.
Yes, he's more. Again, I'm going to reference Loki, but when Loki started out, he was trying to impress his dad. Mm-hmm. So he was doing things that he thought was for the good of his people. And so Gabriel is trying to impress his dad and get his dad to come back, and he's doing things that he thinks are for the good of his people, the angels. So in that sense, not that killing a bunch of people is ever justified, but in that sense, you can kind of understand where he's coming from. And it makes him more of a sympathetic character. And I don't know. My prediction is that Gabriel is going to be Alex's dad. That's my prediction.
Whoa!
Yeah, because Gabriel is so... He doesn't want to kill Alex. He doesn't want to get rid of Alex. He does, on a level, want to protect Alex.
That would be a twist. I mean, I can't remember if we've actually talked about it on the show, or if it was just on Twitter.
We did talk about this on Twitter.
It was on Twitter that last week I reintroduced my theory of Alex as God.
Yes.
Or God is in Alex, almost like an angel in a way, possessing him maybe. And the people may disagree with that. I still love the theory, even if it's completely insane. But the idea that Alex could be a Nephilim, a human angel hybrid, the child of a human. We know his mother's human,
right? And
an angel. And the immediate thought, of course, is Michael. But that would almost feel expected.
Right.
So if it was Gabriel, that would be crazy.
And I know the fans have told me that Vaughn has said that we're not going to get to know anytime imminently who Alex's dad is. But that is my theory.
Not this season,
theory.
But #Renew Dominion.
Yes.
Because I want to know.
Yes.
But, I mean, there's a lot there. Because Zoe's obviously not the villain. Claire's not the villain. The thing is, I'm kind of I kind of would like one of the. There are 2 outside armies now that want to, or 3 outside armies now. I almost forgot about one that are trying to get Vega for one reason or another. It is basically the only big city left that is still standing. That is still viable, even though it just got blown up.
Right.
Or halfway blown up. It's in a civil war. Because New Delphi is basically, we now know, being built for the express purpose of taking over Vega. Mm-hmm. And Helena, through Arca, we now know, is dying as a city, and they want to take over Vega for their resources. Basically just move in. Arca doesn't like working with people, I guess.
It's interesting because in this episode, I thought Arca would be more visibly upset that I guess even though she wants to invade the city, I would think she would be more visibly upset or visibly trying to maintain their resources somehow. I guess that's kind of what she's doing through David, but she seemed a little bit too relaxed to me for someone who says this is going to be my future home. Maybe I would think she would want it to be less chaotic. I don't know.
Well, she needs the chaos so that she can take over. She basically, I think she said that she likes Claire, mm-hmm. and she knows that she's a powerful leader, but you can't have a powerful leader if you're going to take over.
True.
I think this civil war is playing exactly into her hands, because what she's hoping it's going to do is so destabilize the city that if both Zoe and Claire get killed, or the public just hates both of them, by the end of this, she marches in with her army of whatever she's got in Helena, and now she is the savior who came in and brought the city back together, as opposed to an outside conqueror. So the people of Vega like her and want to work with her, as opposed to this system that they have now, which is clearly broken. I feel like that should be Claire's move, is promise a restructuring of the V system. That's what she wants to do anyway. That's the whole insanity of this thing, is that Claire is, from the start, has been the one who wants to help the V1s and make this a better city for them. And I get that at Zoe's level, she doesn't know that, and she can't know that, and it's impossible to. But if that's what Claire wants, shouldn't she be trying to communicate that to people?
I would think so. And the problem is we don't actually know the entirety of what her speech was.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And so that I feel like we're grabbing blinds or flying blind. I agree with you, though. I would like to see her restructure that system, and then that would make her more popular.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I mean, maybe she's just angry because they tried to kill her boy. Which, okay, let's talk about what were we calling her? Clates? Them, the two of them.
Clates? I don't know what we were calling them. Glare? Clates?
I'm gonna go with Clates.
What's their shipper name?
Yeah, or chat roll. You give us your decision. What ship name should we have for the two of them? Well, whatever it is, I'm not shipping them. They're cute.
I like their chemistry.
I guess I do. I mean, I think I'm still weirdly. I know that we haven't seen them together in a long time, but I still like Calyx, I'm going to call it.
This is one show, though, I will say, where when they're making the love triangles or love quadrangles, all of the people in these elements have actual chemistry, whereas you see some shows and there's clearly a front runner because the other people just don't work. You're watching them and you're like, bleh. But in this situation, I could see Claire with Gates. I could see her with Alex. I think they both have good chemistry. I think Alex has great chemistry with the actress who plays Noma.
My thing is that when she was with Alex, she was when her with Alex, she always came off as a strong woman. Like, being with him made her stronger. Anytime she's with Gates, she feels like she's a little girl.
Well, I think it's also easy to see that because Gates is older than her, and the city's falling apart. So when she was with Alex, she was in a position of power, so she felt more confident. In this situation, Gates is not only her now lover, but he's her advisor. He's her only advisor, really. I mean, I guess she relies on Erica a little bit.
That's fair. That's fair. I would love to see them all in the same room, all four of them,
yes,
to hash out what to do with this situation.
Because she got a baby daddy, but she's not with the baby daddy.
But he only left to protect her. And they left and they still had really strong feelings for one another, but that had to happen. But then they both went off and started making out with other people. But what if they get are their feelings for each other done? In which case everybody can just go off and have a good time.
I don't think they are, and that's what I think is going to make this so interesting.
Yeah,
when they come back together.
When every character on this show descends on Vega at one moment. It will get real complicated.
Yes.
Everybody but the people in Mallory, who we haven't seen in a while.
I have a theory about Mallory. I think that...
Is it the nearby town?
I think it is the nearby town. I choose to believe it is the nearby town. I'm holding on to that belief until Thursday.
Yeah.
The reason
Sorry, I got excited.
The reason I choose to believe it's the nearby town, though, is because, A, I don't know that there's anything else out there, and B, I don't think that we're going to lose Noma. I really don't think that we're going to lose Noma. She's too strong and cool and awesome of a character to lose. And I could see that town having some sort of, because it has this magical protection, maybe it has some sort of quality that can help her.
Interesting. And we'll get into that more. There's a lot more to talk about with Noma, and I want to. Do you have anything more to talk about with Vega and Claire, Gates, Zoe Wheel, that whole?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty clear. Like, we're getting deep into the Civil War. If you haven't checked out the Dominion Revelations, I recommend it. This one's cool. It just has some cool key art for the show. So before we get into Alex's tattoos and what they might mean, what's going on with Gabriel and Michael, I put Gabe and Mike on the board.
I like that. Gabe and Mike, two brothers.
Yes, two brothers on a romp because they lost their dad. And we got to talk about Noma and shadowy figure guy.
Yes.
Person. But we're going to talk about all that. I want to quickly remind you guys to go onto iTunes, hit us with a review. It seriously means the world to us. We love getting the Twitter response from you guys. It's so much fun. I love talking about this throughout the week and getting the response. You guys are the best fans. But you can absolutely help us out. It is a big help. Go onto iTunes and hit us with a rating and a review. It takes 5 seconds. Just write one sentence. That's all it needs. And if you do, we will give you a shout out on the show. So yeah, let's dive back in. Where were we? Oh, let's talk about Alex's tats.
That partially got burned off. So what does the burn mean to the tattoos? They shifted before. When I first saw that in the preview of last week, I just was my thought, and it still stands. It's like the markings we've watched them move on his arm. Yes.
Why would burning his flesh damage the symbols?
I feel like Julian maybe doesn't understand that.
That's true, but everyone else acted like everybody else. Gabriel, Michael, Noma, who all understand that. Or maybe they don't. Michael does.
Michael does, and I feel...
But he reacted just as much, as if that marking was gone. Maybe... We
also have a drawing of the markings. We have drawings of the markings.
That's true.
So they're not... that's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, even if you... Because I was also thinking, yes, they move, and there's a possibility of maybe it moving somewhere else on his body. But also, I was just thinking Uriel drew them out. Or, no, was it Uriel? Or
somebody in the area.
Somebody drew them out. And so we have drawings of all of them.
Mm-hmm. Except that they evolve. So if one is destroyed, it can't change to give us more. I don't know. I mean, either way, Alex has been very much. Maybe it was an Empyrean Steel brand, which because it can kill an angel, that stands to reason that it would hurt a marking.
Right.
But it can't hurt that one marking on his arm, which Julian Leray went for next, which we found out is basically a warning message about like Leray going to Vega.
Yes.
Did Michael never notice that before? Because he read it real quick this time.
I feel like for Michael, maybe everything just clicked into place when he saw it, but it is unfortunate that Michael did not realize that earlier.
Yeah.
But I do think that the markings, it takes them time to kind of interpret them and figure out what they mean.
Yeah, and maybe it was just like as soon as he saw it now with context.
With context, it makes sense.
Oh, that's the constellation, stars in the sky. I get it now. Side note, before I want to get into like my theories on what that means, but the constellation or the star Vega is an actual star, which is it's in the constellation Lyra, and it has a different designation. I don't know if I can't tell if I'm looking if my research was a little bit different or off from theirs because I only had a little bit of time for my astronomy lessons. But that star also has the designations of Lucida Lyrae and Alpha Lyrae. So it's like one and the same, which could be an interesting place that they may or may not be going. But I want to get your thoughts on, because my immediate thinking on, so God left them a warning that Julian was going to try to go to Vega. That implies that basically this is a map to the apocalypse, right? So what does that say about God's plan for why he left, or reasons for leaving? Like, he left them a message that this weirdly specific event is going to happen. Does that mean he's around? Like, is he's actually around, or does that mean that this is all part of a game?
I feel like it's that God, if you look into the Bible, God is the beginning and the end. Mm-hmm. God encompasses all time. So maybe God understands not only what has happened in the past, but what is going to happen in the future. So maybe God foresaw this coming, and I still have no theory as to why God is gone. None. Absolutely none. But I feel like maybe God can predict certain things that are happening. And what's interesting is they use constellations. So I feel like, you know how people see and read constellations and feel like it predicts parts of people's lives?
Right.
I feel like maybe they're tying those two things together and seeing that, okay, maybe...
retroactively.
Yeah, tying those two things together, whereas, like, maybe a lot of the other tattoos have references to constellations, so maybe if they mapped the stars, they would have more of an understanding of, like, what's happening in the future.
Yeah, that's interesting. Raven Adams in the chat roll says, I think it appeared when it became important, like the tattoos changed just before a monumental moment in history.
That makes sense.
And it could have changed a little while ago. This was the tattoo. If you remember, this is the one that moved when he was trying to do an eviction, both with Pete and when he was trying to evict Leray.
And he failed at the Leray eviction, which was a bummer to me, because I'm so interested now in seeing not only how that actor would play that role without being like the fused character of Julian, but also to see just what is Julian like when he's not a dyad.
Yeah, well, we don't know who that human was.
Yeah, we don't know who that human was.
Leray says, or I guess it's Julian, like, because they're the same post-transition, if you will.
And we learn that they want to be together, and that's part of it.
Which is interesting. I mean, we don't know. It'd be interesting to find out who Julian was as a human, that he wants this. But that also, it makes sense that, like, if the human wants the angel, that it wouldn't just leave. It's cool that he can, like, do the eviction from the other room, like, behind his glass, like a kid whispering glass. He's like,
I like that. I liked that.
It's cool. I don't know why he doesn't just start doing that a lot when people, like, can't see him. Like, when Pete, he's just like, it's like, I sanctify this vessel, I sanctify this. And then Pete just like,
Pete!
Yeah, we want Pete.
Come now.
We want Pete back.
We do want Pete back.
That is an interesting little side note that Pete was New Delphi of 8-Ball who, like, wandered off. Sure, why not? But that works. So, anything else about New Delphi that we want to discuss? The explosion.
Yes.
Of the tattoo. I
feel like that was a reaction to, because he only burned him once. He only successfully burned him once. And I feel like that was the tattoo's, not the tattoo is kind of a living entity unto itself.
Yeah, I could say you could, we don't know, but, like, that's perfectly valid theory.
Yeah, and I feel like that was the tattoo's reaction to, okay, you can't damage this anymore. It must have some sort of, like, fail-safe to where you can't destroy all of the important parts.
Yeah.
Which would make sense to me, because if God's going to send an important message that has to be like worn on people and transferred to other people, you would think you can't just burn it and have it go away.
Yeah. It also may have been because that was something about him, so he can't attack it.
Right.
I wonder if the tattoos, this is a wild swing, but like if the tattoos somehow create the future. Like, if you were to destroy that piece of the future, like, it wouldn't happen.
That's interesting.
I don't know how that would work. It's a weird thing, but the thought came into my brain just now.
So Alex will have to burn that part of his own arm. I don't want him to invade.
Yeah. Well, but invading could stop him, depending on how it goes.
Yes.
Also, in that room at the end, Noma is nailed to the wall.
I thought that was interesting that they used a like crucifix kind of
It's very much
imagery.
it was very much an angel version of a crucifixion. Not subtle about it.
No. That was brutal. That was brutal, and I still don't even know how like. I know that angels are stronger than people, obviously.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand how. I know she says she's dying later in the episode, but you're just like, man, how did she have the power just to do that?
Yeah, it almost was like, these are removable. It just hurts a lot. But no, she just like pushed off the wall and ripped. I would have thought like just. Because that makes it seem like like angels are humans who had wings added, as opposed to it's like a part of them. And like, because if it was, if like assuming everything was fused, like your arm is fused to your body, the wing should have snapped at the point of the nail. Would have made more sense.
The wings are made of really like the wings are made of like steel strong
okay,
material.
so the wings can't break. Okay, all right, yeah, you're right.
Because I
did
did think about that when I was watching it, because I was like, why doesn't she just like pull apart that piece of the wing? But then when you think about it, you're like, oh, those wings are so super strong, and the skin itself is not strong.
Yeah, interesting. It was surprising that she could do that.
Yeah.
To say the least.
But it does give a kind of what's that movie with James Franco where he sawed off his arm?
Oh, 127 hours.
Yes.
Ugh.
That is
yeah, it kind of is. Yeah.
I was like, when the situation's really dire, you just do what you got to do. But then it's sad because now she's in this position where she's dying. She's dying. I mean, now we kind of learn what happens if an angel loses its wings.
Yeah, I mean, my immediate thought is, like, this is sort of classic, I think, angel myth lore, and, like, it just made me think of Dogma. Chop off an angel's wings and they become human. Mm-hmm. Just think of it, drunk Matt Damon from Dogma. This is, I didn't remember that. Raven Adams again. Last season, Becca said the angels were weakest at the place where the wings join the back.
Ah, there we go.
Which actually gives credence to the idea that they're human who have been, like, altered in a way. Like God, he created humans. He's got like semi-line. It's like, what if I had wings? And then later he's like, nah, the wings were cool, but I'm gonna take those out. And like, this is the human 2.0 just walks. It's a lot easier. You don't have
but
cities.
A lot less cool. It doesn't get to like protect itself and fly and beat stuff up.
But yeah, so I mean, and they escape. So it stands to reason she's dying. She just ripped open her back.
Yeah, and she's bleeding from the back.
Yeah, you'd be bleeding out too if you ripped off a limb. But so they escape to the woods, and at this point,
the man with the yellow hat.
Was it yellow?
No, I'm just thinking of. It's a Curious George reference. Had to throw it in there. Yeah. I don't know why.
There's a moment where I'm like, was the blacks on my TV just set to a weird nut level? They're going to this town. Mm-hmm. or they're like trying to hide out in this house, which I saw the house and I immediately was like, is that Mallory? And the lights just aren't on? Like everyone's asleep.
We want to see it everywhere. Where are you, Mallory?
No, but it was just a house. The fact that there's a nearby town, we talked about it earlier, but yeah, it stands to reason that it's Mallory.
I think that it's Mallory because I feel like we have to have a way to save Noma. You already killed Jasper. Okay.
That would put it exceptionally close to New Delphi, though, because they haven't been running very long.
Yeah, but I feel
but
like...
if Pete was from No, he wasn't. He was found in the other direction.
But Michael got to New Delphi pretty quickly, didn't he?
Yeah, but he could fly.
Yeah, that's true.
But either way, I'm willing to get them to Mallory. I'm willing to put that aside.
Yes.
Especially to introduce the Chosen One to that community could be very interesting.
Yes.
To what they do if they find out, especially if they don't want to trust him.
And then the question is, who is the man? The man with the yellow hat. Who is the man with the hat?
Okay. It's going to be the same theories I've been yelling about all season.
I don't have a theory, but you go ahead.
I mean, to me, that's the prophet.
Oh,
whoever it is.
That would make sense.
Because this shadowy figure is like watching them. Mm-hmm. If the town nearby is Mallory,
right,
then they're watching the vicinity. That whoever it is, whether it's Raphael, Lucifer, or another character. Yeah. It stands to reason that they're still around, that they're keeping tabs on this town. And they would know Noma, most likely. She's a higher angel, or was. May or may not know Alex, depending on what they've been up to this whole time. I lean towards Raphael, only because the shadow, this is sort of a backwards logic of like trying to like this might be overanalyzing. The hat and the shadow seem to imply a man, and it would be a bigger shock if it turned out to be a woman, and we know that Raphael is a woman. It would keep her more hidden.
Right.
And just the idea of studying is Raphael, so watching them. Although shadowy, like, disappearing and stuff leans me towards Lucifer. And, like, there appeared to be, like, an ability to sort of disappear, which we never saw. We haven't seen, like, Michael or Gabriel disappear like that. They don't have that ability. Neither did Uriel. But Lucifer was the firstborn, and so theoretically could have, and has been off on his own for however many millennia. So in theory, he could have all kinds of powers we don't know about. I just want to see more I want to see more archangels. Yes. Whoever they are, I want more of them.
Me too. And I'm very excited by that mystery to see who that is.
Ooh, do you need a more? Is the shadow the angel of death?
I would be interested to see how they could bring that in too.
In the shadow of the angel of death. Although Michael's kind of the angel of death.
Sort of, yeah.
We get the sense that was his job. Like, he was the one who headed up Sodom and Gomorrah. I assume he was the one that passed over all the houses in Egypt.
Yeah.
Just like, firstborn sons. Whoop. Seems like old school Michael would be down for that.
I'm so bummed out that Michael got so close to escaping, and then he just got dumped back into Julian's, like, cave of despair.
Yeah, I was wondering why we weren't getting that crazy action sequence of him chopping off all the 8-Ball's heads. And that's because he got overtaken. I mean, he's weak. He was just very badly hurt.
Right.
So
it's such a bummer to me because I like having Alex and Michael back together, but I do see where this is an opportunity for maybe Michael and Gabriel to team up against Julian and get the crap out of there.
Yeah. I wanted them to stay together, because we know they're going to get back together. So I'm willing to be okay with the stalling of that if the payoff is good. As long as the payoff is big, then I'm cool with them like separating. Just because we know they're going to come back together at some point.
True.
It just makes it would drive everything forward so much. Although I guess that makes sense then why we're not getting it.
Yes.
So, any other thoughts on this episode?
No, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for next week. So, with that, let's move into predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Yeah, there's calls in the chat room for more angels.
Yes, more angels indeed.
All right, so next week, what we got in the preview was Lyrae is going to torture Gabriel and Michael, starting with Gabriel, it looks like, until he can, now we know his endgame, take over one of their bodies. He wants the body of an archangel. Which
would make sense because he had to work back up through the ranks when he was demoted from being a higher angel.
Yeah.
I just want to know, is anybody going to find the missing amphora?
Yeah, it's stashed in New Delphi.
Right.
Maybe, if I was going to say anybody's going to find it, I would say it's Pete.
That would be awesome.
Just because
Pete.
Just because who else are we gonna?
Yeah.
Like no one else is around. Well, I guess Ryson is still there.
But we don't know if Ryson is dead or not because he had that floor heart attack situation.
Yeah, I don't think he's dead unless this is where we're getting it. He was reminded in this episode that angels heal.
Right.
So this may be where he gets possessed. I wonder if this could be an interesting, crazy twist. What if Julian does possess either Gabriel or Michael by the end, and then they jump ship and go take over Ryson? So you wind up with Michael Ryson running around and Julian, Tom Wisdom playing Julian now, or Tom Wisdom playing Lyrae. That would be ridiculous.
That would be awesome and fascinating.
All kinds of crazy. Yeah.
I feel like I don't have any more predictions because I gave most of them throughout the episode.
Stand by my. The shadowy figure is either Raphael or Lucifer, most likely also the prophet. I'm gonna stand by that.
I like that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stand by that too.
It's my big prediction.
I'm standing by your prediction.
It's the one I've been touting all season, and also Alex is God. Take that, naysayers. All right, guys, that's gonna do it. But we're still working out the details of this. I highly encourage you to tune in next week because I believe we're going to be having a special guest on. Might see some familiar faces around here. So tune in. Follow us on Twitter for more updates on that. You can follow Jackie.
123jackieb.com. That's our Twitter and Instagram are.
All right.
My Twitter and Instagram.
Anything else we can find you on?
The Strain show here, Under the Dome show here, because why not?
Why not see a cockroach chase Jackie's co-host out of the studio?
Yes, that happened.
Go watch Under the Dome after show. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. As I said, we will be back next week. Be sure to tune in. You guys can also see me, you can find me on Twitter at @ZachWilson, ThatZachWilson, and also here at AfterBuzz on the Strain, and a whole bunch of new shows coming back next month, including Doctor Who, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So excited for all those. Guys, I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.